This is the Alabama Sportsman's Podcast. I'm Jamie Sparks.
And I'm Landon Holtman.
And tonight we got a good guest with us. His name's Ross Lowery. He's actually from Georgia, but he has killed a monster Alabama buck. And most people have to go to out of state to kill bucks like this. Well, he come from another state to Alabama to kill a buck like this. Thanks for being on the show, Ross.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I tell you what, a friend sent me the picture of your buck through Facebook Messenger and all, and I got in touch with him, and he said, "Man, this is a great story. You got to hear it." And I can't wait to hear. I hadn't asked you anything about the deer all day long. I know we tried to talk a little bit earlier, but I hadn't got any of the info on it. So man, I can't wait to hear about this buck. First of all, people want to know, is it free range or was it a high fence?
No, it's free range.
All right, and was it with a bow or muzzleloader?
Muzzleloader.
All right. Well, man, tell us about this buck, this hunt, man. We want to know all about it.
Well, it's kind of a long story.
Man, we got plenty of time.
Well, about not last season, but the season before, I had a really nice deer here by my house that I was hunting, and somebody killed him. The neighbors killed him. I mean, legal and all that, but
right. It happened.
I was kind of frustrated with it. And a buddy of mine that lives here by me, I was talking to him one day, and I was like, "Man, I need to find me somewhere down there in Alabama to hunt because the season's longer."
Right.
And he was like, "Well, I got that land over in Cherokee County, so we'll go over there one day." He said, "We've hunted it, but we don't ever see much." So we went one day, and we didn't see a deer. And he said, "You can come back if you want to." I said, "Well, I might come down and put out some cameras or one thing or another." And I put some cameras out and was gone for a couple of weeks, and come back. It had snowed while I was gone. I come back and went down there middle part of December and pulled the cameras. This deer was on the camera.
Wow.
And I mean, he was really nice then.
Yeah.
The biggest deer I'd ever seen. So I didn't know nothing about this place. I just hung a couple of stands and went to hunting. And
right.
It's a lot of pines. There's no really open area to speak of at all. And man, I was set up all wrong. The wind swirls and them planted trees, and I got one glimpse of him in a hole through a cutover one afternoon before dark. All I saw was his horns, just long enough to get me excited about everything. And went through the rest of that season there in 17 and didn't see, any more sign of him other than the trail cam pics.
Right.
So last fall I went back down there and put my cameras up, and within 2 days I got pictures of him. It's like he just hanging out waiting on me to come back and put the cameras up.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm going to rethink this and hunt this deer right. And put a little effort into getting me some lanes through them trees, and about tore the tractor up and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Got me a lane and thought it would be perfect, and the deer go across the lane so fast you don't even have a chance. So I got to noticing that all of my pictures, I was getting good pictures on the side of a road that just cut, more or less a trail
right.
that cut through there. It had a lot of privets and stuff on it, and those deer were feeding on them privets. So I set up a ground blind where I could see, a good piece down that road, and hunted him there. I saw a lot more deer that way. And first part of January, about the first week of January, one day, he walks out in this road, and I take me a crack at him, and he jumps and kicks, and like I almost packed my stuff up. I thought, had no doubts he was going to be laying up there dead. and went up there, and the first thing I found was a big chunk of meat with hair in it. And it just makes you sick, you know.
Oh yeah.
And never found no blood. Had a buddy of mine come up and help me look, and we never found nothing. So I was just kind of,
disgusted.
devastated.
Yeah.
And give it a few days. I had to leave the next day, and I give it 3 or 4 days there for him to have time to die. The buzzards come around or whatever, and I went back down there on the horse and rode for a day or so looking, and then pulled the cards on the cameras, and he was back on the camera. And you could see he had a big spot on his shoulder there. It was all pussed up, and you could tell where it hit him.
Right in the shoulder, the front shoulder.
Right in the front shoulder.
Yeah.
And I could not, for the life of me, figure out why.
What was you shoot him with?
A 7 mag didn't knock him down, kill him, or whatever.
Yeah.
I've killed deer with it for 30 years.
Oh yeah.
And so I kept on hunting. And the last week of January, this deer walks out. And it's feeding down the road there, and I don't pay it a whole lot of attention. It's just a old doe. And the deer's there 10 or 15 minutes probably. And it turns to leave, and I see I never had any pictures of the deer's left side. The deer turns to leave, and I see his left side, and he's got a big hole where the bullet had come out the top of his shoulder.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was, I got my binoculars up, and then I could see the blood spots on his head. This deer had already shed his horns.
Oh.
So I went to doing a little checking and everything, and they say when something's got an injury, they start shutting stuff down, and the horns,
Heal
I
back
guess,
up.
was the first thing they shut the blood off to, because he lost his.
Right.
So I go back down and look for sheds for a while.
Yeah.
Never do find none. So I was put the cameras back out this fall, and man, I had him again, and I was thinking he would be. I left the cameras out through the spring, and I had pictures of him in March, and he was healthy and in good shape. So I didn't have no doubts that he would be there. And man, he was on the camera, and instead of being messed up, he was bigger.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of kickers and stuff around the bottom of his head that he hadn't had in the past. But I mean, he was wider. His tines were longer. I mean, everything about him was just bigger. I was just amazed.
How much bigger?
It's hard to say. I have no idea.
Would you say? I mean,
10 inches, 20 inches?
No. What I'm trying to ask is, I'm probably jumping your story real quick, but just for this little bullet point here, have you had him rough scored?
Yes.
What did he rough score?
190 and 4/8.
Oh my gosh.
Golly.
Oh my gosh. All right, so 190. Everybody can see what a 190-inch buck looks like on the when we put this out. So. What do you think he was last year when you first, when you got that picture up? I mean, when you shot him?
I would think that the deer was, definitely in the highest 170s, mid 170s or something. And all I'm going on is just, I've looked at last year's pictures and this year's pictures, and his widest point of his horns is at the tips.
Right.
And he's 23 inches out there. And last year they curved in. So that gave me some right there because, like inside, where the horns turn in the middle, up by the threes or whatever, he was 20 inches inside.
Right.
But then he just kind of opened up. So, I don't know how much he put on. He had a extra kicker this time. He's had kickers on his twos every year. I've had pictures of him.
Right.
But so I really couldn't say exactly. But I would think maybe mid 170s.
Wow, that's still a world class buck.
The deer didn't weigh but 125 pounds with his guts out.
Oh.
So You put 190 inches of horns on a 125-pound deer.
He's going to
he
look
looks
massive.
like he goes 250.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy.
Well, hey, Ross, back to where you were, you know, you said that you started getting pictures of him again, and he was at that 190s where you were at, right?
Yeah.
The beginning of this year.
Yeah, so I said I gotta regroup on this. I gotta get somewhere deeper in here where I can catch him earlier. And there's a big ditch that runs through the place, and there's only a couple of 3 or 4 places that they cross it, and a real thick cutover, and there's a buffer of trees on this ditch that they didn't cut, and a fire break, and them deer travel that fire break. So I knew everything was going to be tight because you can't see far at all. So I went and I got me a little old shooting house from a friend of mine that was, it ain't 7 foot off the ground, but I could get in it and be in it.
Right.
And I go down there, and it takes quite a bit of effort to get it in there. And me and my buddy hollered in there with a tractor and get it set up. I get it in there plenty early enough. Everything's used to it. And I go back there sometime last week and pull my cards, and man, he's kind of regular in the morning. And I said, well, I'm on muzzleloader season opens. I'm gonna go for all the rifles start going off, and And I went there Monday morning when that muzzleloader season opened. I was in there when it got light, sitting there, and you sit there, and I guess you don't really expect. I mean, I hunted him for hours last year, hours. And 45 minutes after daylight, he comes walking around the edge of the trail, and he's just turning his old head and his horns and stuff, going through them bushes like an old longhorn cow or something. Like, he knows how to get them horns around, and he's walking straight at me. And he finally kind of put his head down, and I got my gun out. He walked on up there, and that thing kind of makes a turn. And he turned broadside about 75 yards, and I set it off, and of course smoke went everywhere, and I was fanning and blowing and everything else trying to get the smoke out in front of me. And when everything cleared, I was looking down through there and didn't see nothing, and didn't take any binoculars with me because you don't need them to see when it's him or not. I looked through my scope, and his horns were sticking up over the sage grass. Well, then that's when it set in. I was trying to reload that muzzleloader. I couldn't even get the powder in it hardly. So I get it reloaded, and here I go, headed down there. And I don't guess he even flinched. His legs was underneath him. He was dead as a hammer.
Nice.
Golly. Now, back to his body weight. Was he that small the year you shot him with that 7 mag?
Yes, sir. Well, I don't know that he was. It's hard to say. On the pictures, we've always said he looked small, but did he look small because he had such a big old rack of horns on his head, or? Right. But the deer was in good health. The deer was very fat when we skinned him. Mm-hmm. So I have no idea.
All his genetics were in his horns, weren't they?
I guess so.
Three people have aged the jawbones at 5.5, and I just cannot see that myself. But and one of them told me to take them to the DNR office down here, right, and don't even tell them nothing. Don't show them no pictures, because they said, well, we've seen these pictures, and aging him off his body, you would never consider him being over that. But then you look at that set of horns, and how can he be that? But anyway, so I'm gonna get him aged again. But ever how old he is, he ain't gonna get no older now.
He's sure. As big as he's ever gonna get, ain't he?
He's as big as he's ever gonna get.
That's right. Well, I tell you what you need to do. You need to take him to the deer show next year, because I tell you what, with a muzzleloader, you probably just got the biggest.
Oh, yeah. You got the biggest buck with a muzzleloader this year in Alabama. I guarantee it.
Man, I tell you, 191, did you say 4/8?
Yeah, 190 and 4/8. Yeah.
190. Okay. Yeah, that is a monster. Well, being 125 pounds, or I guess he's 150 pounds or so, live weight. You probably didn't have to have too much help because you're a big old fella. You probably didn't have to have too much help dragging him out, did you?
Threw him on his shoulder.
It really wouldn't have mattered probably how big he was. Getting him out of there was not going to be an issue.
There you go. Yep. So this was private land.
Yes, sir.
All right. About how big a track? Because this is what we've been talking about this year. We've talked with some good hunters that are hunting small tracks and killing, world class bucks. So, what would you say you was hunting on acre wise?
It's the whole track is like it's around 270 acres.
Right.
And it's got 4 or 5 different stages of pine. I mean, it's all timberland. It's all planted trees.
Right.
And there's a big ditch that runs through the middle of it. It's just really thick and a lot of browse and privets and this deer just. I mean, I got pictures of him in the same place for 3 years now.
Right.
The funny thing is like it's pretty much surrounded by cow pastures everywhere. I mean, it's not like he's living in the middle of a big soybean plantation or something other.
Right.
Right there within 2 or 3, 4 or 5 miles. I mean, I don't know if there's any row cropping. And so
he grew that rack just off field grass and briars and everything else.
As far as I know, pine straw.
Yeah.
I may go to hunting in a pine thicket all the time.
I see it.
Welcome to Alabama. That's all we got over here is pine trees.
Pines.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell everybody where you're from. You're from Georgia.
Yeah, I'm from Somerville. I mean, it's, where I kill the deer is not but about 20 miles from my house. Our county borders Cherokee County. And,
right.
I mean, I can be in Alabama in just a minute. But
you got any more bucks on camera on that same property that you killed this big one?
No, I mean I have some bucks, but I mean even if I hadn't killed this big one, there's nothing else there on camera that I would ever, even go to hunt, much less hunt hard. I mean everything is just basket rack 6s or 8s or something, and we talk about it all the time. Well, if he's been breeding does, something's got to get some genetics in there and grow something big later on. But if he's not 5.5 years old, that's I guess a good reason why they ain't nothing else really showing up like him yet. But
right,
something give him the genetics to grow what he's got. So evidently there's some big deer in the area.
That's right. And then you talking about that, you're sitting there hunting a 200 so
270, wasn't it?
A parcel of land that's mostly trees, and you got fields all around it. So you got the bed in there. You got the place where the deer are.
Yep.
So I would, you definitely. And if you don't have one move in after he's gone this year, you'll probably in the next couple of years you'll probably have another real good shooter because that blood's there.
Yeah, you may even have 2 or 3 if you got a bunch of the same caliber deer.
Yeah.
In the summertime or in the fall, when you put the cameras out, there'll be quite a few bucks on there together, and there's been some nice deer on there. Nothing, even comparable to him, but some nice deer on there. But now once fall kind of comes around and the deer starts splitting up, you don't never for 2 years I don't get a picture of another good deer with him in there.
Right.
There'll be a picture of him and a spike or something, but I mean you never get hardly any mature bucks on the camera or any of the cameras close for that matter while he's been in there. So
well, dang, you shot him with
I still got everything up. Interesting to see what moves in. I think something else will show up.
Yeah,
don't expect it to be one like him, but I think there's going to be another dominant mature deer move in there for sure.
Yeah, usually that's what happens when one mature buck gets taken out or moves on or whatever. There's usually going to be another one take his place because he's there for a reason, and all the other bucks know it. So they want to live where he's living because it's a good spot to live.
Yeah.
Have you seen them boys over there in Atlanta killing them big old bucks?
Oh, yeah.
That right there. I mean, you live in Georgia, but you came to Alabama, and you're killing the same caliber bucks they killing. But I tell you what, them boys right there, they got a gold mine, don't they?
Yep.
I've never in my life, I'd have never thought 200-inch deer be walking around in Atlanta.
Yeah, most of the Georgia records are from Fulton County.
Yeah.
Which is, but I mean, we talk about it all the time. You go to Atlanta to the airport, there's one place there. If you come in through the back that you drive by, that ain't nothing but just a big hardwood swamp flat through there with a subdivision around it. And, there's all kind of lots like that down there.
Yeah.
That's where those big deer living.
That's right. He's probably hunting that because a lot of his videos, you can hear the airport in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Do you still got a spot that you gonna hunt in Georgia this year?
Oh yeah, I hunt here where I live, and we got some pretty decent hunting, but really our rut's kind of winding down right now.
Right.
But hadn't anything really showed up on my cameras that made me really excited about going to hunt. But now, I was thinking, well, I'll probably have to hunt this deer all,
right,
and kill him the first morning. So that makes it a little easier to go around here, because usually once Alabama opens, I don't even hunt here no more. Well, the last couple of years, just because I've been hunting him,
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, and now the pressure's off of, and you can kind of relax this holiday season.
Yeah, that's right.
you can actually enjoy Christmas.
Be at home for Christmas.
Yeah,
that's right. Man, I tell you what, that's a great story, Ross, and that's a great buck. I'm glad you got him, man. I really am. And I'm glad you came on and told us the story. I mean, I had a lot of people. I sent the picture to a lot of people today on my phone, and people just wanting to know all this. I said, hey, hold up, man. You're gonna have to listen to the podcast.
That's it.
So I mean, he's gonna be on there and tell you all about it. I said, I hadn't talked to him. I didn't want to ask him anything. They were asking, was it with a bow or muzzleloader? I said, oh, hang on, man. Just listen when it comes out.
That's it.
But that's a great buck, man. I'm glad you got him, and I want to thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, if you get another one, man, just send us a text or whatever, and Craig can come back on.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot, Ross.
Yes, sir.